What's up everyone, Tytalkz back with another video, and in this video I will be giving you guys my thoughts on the Chelsea 2 Arsenal nil or Arsenal nil Chelsea 2 Premier League Matchday 2 fixture. But before we get into the video, please remember to like, subscribe if you haven't already, share the channel with someone who doesn't know about Tytalkz CFC. Now let's get into the first point. Now, the first point is Lukaku has shown that he will be a crucial player if his performance and his consistency continues to develop. Now, we all know that Lukaku is a terrific striker. He's not the same striker that he was 2 years ago when he left Man United to go to Inter Milan. We know that Conte played a part in the striker that he has now become. Obviously, he was a strong and tall and robust striker back then, but you know, his strength has improved, his hold-up play has been sublime, it's been good, and it even showed in this Arsenal game. You know, Lukaku scored a goal on his debut, his first ever goal for Chelsea, and I'm going to say it right here, first of many, and I'm really happy that his goal came against Arsenal, the team where the stats were against him. Reports and news pages were saying he's going to have a difficult time, or his record isn't really good, so can he break that curse that he has when it comes on to playing Arsenal, things like that. But you know, he answered those critics. Unfortunately, he wasn't able to score another goal. Obviously, we know that Leno saved a brilliant header that he had, and it was a brilliant save by Leno, so fair play to him. But at the same time, Lukaku was good, and Liverpool is next, and that game will be interesting for many. But Lukaku has started off well at Chelsea for the second time around, and I'm happy for him, and I'm hoping that he will be building on this. He'll get back to the adoption, because you can see that there's some frailties for him when it came on to reaction. Sometimes he was passing the ball quickly, and even though it was quick, and that's the way we try to be progressive and everything, sometimes it was too quick because he's used to those tight spaces, and those tight spaces weren't really there because he had a lot of space. Arsenal were very wide, so because of that, it allows space for a lot of players. But Lukaku did great, and I'm happy for him. Alright, now for the second point, and the second point is the defense and midfield's good performance. Now, the performance was very good in terms of the defensive togetherness that the team showed. The midfield was good. They were really involved in the progression of the ball, creating of the chances. So as each game goes along, as the match days continue, we tend to see that there's a progression, there's a improvement in the playing style from the midfield, and it's something that is commendable. And the thing that I believe is the most talking point is the fact that the defense had an answer for everything that Arsenal tried to do. They tried to do long balls. They were able to cope with it, even though there was a few times where Christensen was caught out of position. One of those times were when Mendy had to come out and make the clearance of the field. There were some risky times there, but overall the team was good. The defense was able to cope with everything that they tried to do. Rudiger was having a terrific performance, as he normally does these days. Aspi is Aspi. He's good. He was being progressive, and we know that when Aspi plays as that right centre back, he doesn't really play there as much. He plays there defensively, but when he comes onto offensively, he's like a second right wing back. So obviously we saw him being further up the pitch, crossing the ball into the box, creating chances, and we all know that a goal was nearly scored by Lukaku by a cross from him. So it's commendable, and I'm really happy with the progression I'm seeing from the midfield, and also the continued success that the defense has been doing to protect that defensive record. So I'm happy that that's the case, and it's very good, and I hope it continues. Now the third point is on Reece James. I will also be posing the question regarding Lukaku and Reece James, and I'll leave you guys to that as well, so keep your eyes peeled for when I ask that question. So Reece James, the academy graduate, the player who had a difficult start under Thomas Tuchel when he came on to game time. He played as that right wing back. He was good. He created the chance that Lukaku eventually scored. He then eventually scored the second goal that eventually put the nail in the coffin for Arsenal chances of coming back in the game. And he was good. He was creating the chances. He was defensively solid. He was doing what he needed to do, things that were customary from Reece James. So it was positive, and Reece James was also very offensive, and this is something that I really have been noticing. We do know that Reece James is a defensive beast. He's good defensively. He's a defensive right back most of the times, but the performance that he put out, the offensive playing style that he had, the momentum, the mentality that he had to create chances, to take shots when he could, was something that we haven't really seen from Reece James. Obviously, I know a lot of fans have been crying for Reece James to be that player who can just push through and do something, because we know he has the shooting ability. For those who were monitoring him on loan at Wigan, they know how good he is at taking free kicks. They know how good he is from that Brighton game last season with that screamer that he scored. We all know that he's good offensively when it comes on to crossing the ball, but he didn't really have a striker or prolific striker who was able to finish those chances most of the time. So the question I'd like to ask is, do you believe that with the introduction of Lukaku, we could see Reece James getting himself more assists and possibly starting to get a better as a playmaker, and possibly be compared or mentioned to the same level that Trent has been mentioned? I'll leave you guys to tell me your thoughts. I will not be saying anything on that. I'll leave you guys to say what you think about that in the comments. So I would like to see what you guys say about that. I'll see what your thoughts are on it. But it's an interesting question, and I hope that I'll get enough response to really, get like a little percentile of the things of what people believe in when it comes on to Reece James. Now this side of the video is negatives. Obviously there was a lot of negatives, but the first negative that I believe is something that really stood out was the decision making that we had. Obviously we were creating the chances. We created so many chances that I have lost count, but we haven't made the right decisions when it reached the final third. I can recall moments where Mason Mount had space. He was calling for the ball, and instead of the ball being passed to him or trying to get the ball to him, we tend to go backwards, or we try to go to the flanks, and then the chance would be wasted. And not only Mason Mount, we saw Lukaku calling for the ball so many times, but they didn't look for him. And in a sense, I know it has to do with adapting to the new role, or the striker that they have, that target man that they have now. I know that they're not really used to that striker who's always calling for the ball, trying to be a part of the build-up, things like that. We didn't really have a player like that. So I know that it will take them a few games to really get a consistent level of seeing Lukaku making a run, or Lukaku being in space that can lead to a chance or lead to a goal. So I know that that's something that can be improved on. I know it will be improved on in time, but at the same time, it's a bit negative and it's a bit annoying because there were so many chances that we had to destroy Arsenal and to score more goals, but we didn't really have the right decision making. We were taking shots at a smaller pace than we used to, but at the same time, I think that with the introduction and the surprising return of Hakim Ziyech, we could see more goals being scored or more shots being taken, rather, to probably add to that chances or those attempts that we have. But the issue is that we don't really make those decisions when it comes on to looking for a player who's open or looking to see if a player is open close to you. And Reece James was having a party on the right side. We all know that he could have basically had a picnic due to the amount of space he was getting because of how, like I said, wide Arsenal were playing. It gave Reece James that much space to really have a party. So I was surprised that he didn't get the ball as much as he did in the first half. But that's a thing that I also want to speak about. And in the next point, I'll be speaking about the mentality. So, like I said, the fifth point is about the team's mentality. Now I know that we are starting to look like a ruthless team who love to progress the ball quickly so that our opponents are not able to really grasp what we're trying to do. They can't grasp the pace that we're trying to do, because sometimes we'll progress the ball slowly, work the ball into the box. Sometimes we'll be going too fast, shooting on side, making passes that lead to going to the goal. So things like that is different, but at the same time, there's also a case where we don't really have that killer instinct, that mentality to do and to score as much goal as we can. So that is something that I think we're still lacking. And Antonio Conte is the first manager or coach that really mentioned it after Chelsea won the league in 2017. Things that we haven't really had that mentality of ruthlessness to score as much goals, be ruthless, be heartless, to score more goals, because like I said, we do create the chances to destroy teams by 5 goals every game, but at the same time we don't have that mentality to try to score as much goals as possible. If we have a 2-0 lead, we seem comfortable with it. We don't try to score more goals when the game is so open like it was against Arsenal. You should be scoring more goals. And I don't really like to speak about the negatives because it's a win, and it's not like it was a defeat where you have to speak about a lot of negatives. But there are negatives in every game, and it's disappointing that you can't really focus on the positives mostly, because even though it was a win, the mentality, the ruthlessness was not really there to score more goals, because we should have won the game by at least 4-0 or 3-0. But at the same time, we just weren't clinical enough to make those chances be goals. But the mentality could change, and I'm hoping that in time we do improve on being too weak when it comes on to being ruthless or having that killer instinct to take a shot. And that's something that we still lack in the midfield, having a player who can take those shots like a Gini Wijnaldum, who was at Liverpool. A James Ward-Prowse is another example. You could probably use Pogba, has a shooting skill, but he doesn't really use it as much at Man United. You have players like that who do step up when the team doesn't really have that mindset of let's take a shot, see what happens. And that's something that I really admire about Chalobah. The goal he scored, the first goal that he scored against Crystal Palace for Chelsea, is something impressive. He saw the space, he took it, and that's the instinct that I like to see. I want us to see space and we take the shot and see what happens, because who knows, he could end up in the back of the net, a deflection, something might happen. So hopefully the mentality changes, but in time I think it will, especially with the new profound striker that they have. So I'm hoping that things like that change, but at the same time it's a bit negative that we weren't clinical enough to to finish off what we started, to get that total revenge on Arsenal for the double defeat that we received last season. So this is a bit negative as well, but at the same time it's not as negative as the 2 points that I made before. The situation I tend to see is that with the players, the attacking players or the players in the front three or possibly in the midfield who drop in the midfield to support, they don't really have that confidence in their weaker foot. Well, obviously we know some players have that ability of being able to score a goal or to make a pass with their left or right foot or both. But an example I can give for the little faith that the players do have in their weaker foot is Hakim Ziyech. He came on, he had a chance, he tried to get onto his left foot to shoot it instead of trying to hit it with his right. Another example, Mason Mount, he had a chance. He had it on his left foot, he tried to get it on his right foot, the chance was gone as well. I think that like I said in the previous point, if we use that initiative or we use that instinct to take a shot, see what happens, I think we'll be scoring more goals, because Hakim Ziyech used his right foot even though he's left-footed sometimes, and he scored a goal. I want to see that more often. I want to see that consistency of let's take a shot with the weaker foot and see what happens. Who knows, it might end up in the back of the net, it might be a goal. I want to see that happening, but at the same time it doesn't happen. So it's a bit negative, and it's a bit bad, because different era, I know that you have different players, the different mindsets are there, but at the same time we do have players who can be ruthless, but the consistency isn't there. Sometimes they're ruthless, sometimes they're not. Sometimes they just want to get an assist and that's it. They don't care about scoring a goal, and it's fine. You don't have to score a goal every game, but if you have a chance, if a chance falls at your feet, then take the chance, try to score it. Who knows, something might happen, it might end up in the back of the net. Take the chance, and possibly it can be a goal. It could be something that be surprising and fans go crazy to say, wow, not expecting that from him. Like an example, Christensen hasn't scored a goal for Chelsea, but he scored a goal for Denmark in the Euros. And where was that? He used his initiative to take the shot when Denmark needed a goal. We don't have that consistency. Obviously Christensen doesn't have that freedom to be up the pitch as much as he was when he was playing for Denmark. Things like that does change, but if you have a player who has that ability, like a Mason Mount, shooting from range, Hakim Ziyech sometimes has that ability, Kai Havertz has that ability as well, Kante showed that he can score goals like that. So we need to have that consistency. Obviously you have a game plan, you have to follow that game plan, but at the same time Reece James is supposed to be a right wing back, a defensive player, but he was able to score a goal while being a defensive player. So it's not like you can step out of that game plan and try something new in some random moment in the game. So that's something that I like to see happening, but I don't want to really focus on the negatives because it was a win and I'm happy for that win, but at the same time I have to mention the negatives because not everything in that game was positive. So that's my 6 points, 6 talking points on the game. Once again, Arsenal 0, Chelsea 2. It was not the favorable result that I wanted, but at the same time it was a win. Chelsea ended up being at the top of the table. Well, that's the video. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys next time. Remember to like and subscribe if you haven't already. Share the video with someone who doesn't know about Tytalkz. I'll see you guys next time.